Hi, hello. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show for the 25th year. Can you believe we made a day? And I got the people here can tell you how they can't believe I made a day either. Anyway, we are at State Farm, and it's Peggy Sullivan's State Farm, and she is the one that put me on, and she does not like to tell people that. But I'm going to tell her today, and she's got the stories on me as we celebrate our 25th year. We're back in Monroe, where it all started for me, and I'll tell you, we're going to run a lot of people through here today. Lyle Miller's here. I got my original advertisers that are coming through. I got Bob Holliday, who I know why Bob put me on, but I can't believe he kept me on. Lyle Miller, my original guy. I call Lyle, who used to be my backup guy. And actually, it was funny. One time I was emceeing for the President of the United States, and he had the Vice President on, Dick Cheney. So we got all that happening today. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you'll come by and say hi. I'll be here till 11 o'clock. And, of course, this is in conjunction with the radio people and KMLB, and it's where it's all started for us. Now, I'm going to open y'all mics. I do have a special call-in already, and I don't think it's Donald Trump. Trump called Rush Limbaugh on his 30th. And, but I think y'all better than the president. I bet you Bob Holliday's joined me and also Peggy Sullivan. First of all, how y'all doing?
Hello, Moon. It's great to be here 25 years later.
Well, you know what it is. And this lady right here, when she walked in and said she was going to put me on, and by the way, we're getting ready to go to Attorney General. She told you she wanted to put me on. You didn't laugh.
No.
Or did you laugh for a little while?
I didn't laugh at all as long as we had that balance sheet worked out just right.
Now, Peggy, hold up, Peggy. Now, Peggy, when he said that, he was serious, huh?
He was very serious. He said, show me the money.
So now y'all know how I got started in radio. I was able to pay my bill.
You did. Now, we got some stories on that we'll talk about after you talk to the Attorney General.
Let me bring him in. And this is sad now. I got the owner of the radio stage, his beautiful bride's here with him, too. And I got the lady to help put me on who got out of radio after she got me on. And now I got the Attorney General, Jeff Landry, calling in. So I want to know if this is it for me. Jeff, how you doing, man?
Man, happy anniversary, Moon. I'm calling on behalf of the president. How about that?
Well, you know, it's funny. Jeff, you were the one that had Donald Trump on the year before he went into become the president. Jeff sat in for me. Lo and behold, I leave. He's got Donald Trump on the program, and I'm figuring out what guest did I ever have on to match this, and I never did. But, so I invited him back, and then you made the newspaper for 3 weeks because something you said on the program.
Come on, Moon. I mean, look, that's all we do. We try to take care of you. You're like the voice of Louisiana. You give us a conservative voice out there. We appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you calling in today. Like I said, 25 years for me. I'm not the only one surprised we made it that long.
Well, look, me and you have a similar story. My mom thought I was going to go to jail. Look what I ended up being, Attorney General.
Golly. I don't think I was that far down, was I, Bob?
I tell you, Moon, after he retires from politics, he can come to where it all comes down to, and that's radio.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a career for himself ahead.
But Landry's the one that gets guests from all over the world and Washington, D.C. and stuff. Those people don't even talk to me. But no, Jeff, I appreciate you calling in, man. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
Well, look, not a problem. You deserve it, Moon. Thank you for everything you do, and we appreciate you. Just want to call and tell you happy anniversary.
All right, brother. Thank you. Attorney General Jeff Landry, thank you very much.
Well, Moon, I know that's how we kind of got started, was to give a voice for Louisiana, which you started on one station in Monroe.
That's right. With you.
And
you were it.
Well, it was it. But it was a program that was needed. And so you and I sat down and said, well, how are we going to make this thing work out? We've got to get some affiliates. We need people to help us branch out throughout the state. So we tried. We talked to a lot of broadcasters because I knew some broadcasters. You knew some.
You remember, Bob? Now, Bob, by the way, let me tell you, this wasn't a few days or a few months.
Oh, no.
This was like 2 or 3 years.
It was a couple of years later.
Yeah.
And because, one, we had to find a right time that would fit other radio stations because every station had its own schedule, and trying to get all stations happy was a very difficult thing. And then other radio owners were like me. They said, fine, we'll give Moon a try. How much you going to pay us?
by the way, all syndicated programs, you pay them normally. We had to do it opposite.
Well, radio has changed. Back in those days, it was a little bit different. So you and I went out, we made all these contacts, and finally in the end, they all said, great, how much you going to pay us? So we had to fork over money every month. And but since that time, you've proven yourself, and I don't think you're paying anybody anymore. If you are, then you owe me a hell of a lot of money.
Oh my God! I got a feeling. I got a feeling he's got a bill in his pocket. Now, I hope your wife's not holding this.
I can back charge, and Jeff Landry can help collect the money for me. I turn my account over to him.
I finally got an attorney general in the state of Louisiana, and Miller can probably vouch for this, that I can actually talk to. There's never been. And before David Vitter won a United States Senate, there was no United States Senate I could ever talk to. They were all against me, or I was against them, and it never worked out. But things have changed in the state of Louisiana.
It
has.
But what you have done for the state is incredible. You have a place for what you have done and how you've helped guide the state, I believe, in the right direction. And no one else has come along to replicate or duplicate what you have done.
You know what's funny,
and I don't think they can.
You know what's funny that you said that? Go ahead, Peggy. It's funny you said that because when we were in Monroe, I would always get a call. They would say, well, you know, this guy is starting a network, and this guy is starting a network. And it was to go against me and to beat me. And I thought, well, that ain't hard to do. but every time they tried to do that, something stopped them from doing it. But they don't understand the one thing, you and me, the things that we know, and Peggy knows this as well. It was very difficult to get the show started and getting off the ground here.
Yes.
Go try to syndicate a program. When you walk in, I don't care who you are. It's hard to go get a station to say, I'll give you a shot.
It is.
And so it took, remember when we syndicated, it was funny. Now I'm celebrating 20 years with Mike Grimsley in Lafayette on October 5th.
Down at K-Field.
And Mike Grimsley was the first one that said, I'll give it a shot. I'm very grateful. I told a guy that I'm working with out of Baton Rouge in New Orleans right now, I said, I had two people in this business that really helped me. Now I had a lot of help. Miller, advertisers. Walter Abbott's sitting over there. He drove around the state with me trying to get stations too. And the funny thing about it was you gave me the first opportunity. And I'm sure when the first few days I was on, Bob was going, what the hell am I doing? Did he pay his bill? Okay, we like it. Mike Grimsley was the second guy. Mike jumped up and said, you know what, I think this will work. And it was funny. Grimsley called me 2 weeks after the program. Lyle, you appreciate this. You and Mr. Thomas over there. It was a Friday, 2 weeks we had been on, and I'm going to Shreveport working on another station. And Mike calls me, and he goes, hey, man, this is going to work. I'm telling you this is going to work. And then we talked, and at the end of the conversation, he goes, but I just want to let you know, we live a little closer to Edwin Edwards than you do.
You're right, he did.
And I'm thinking,
he tried for years to get you to leave Monroe. He did.
But anyway, and it worked, and then Shreveport, and of course Charlie Soprano and them, and Taylor Thompson and them came on, and then we got Shreveport later, and Lake Charles had jumped on. We almost 20 years with them as well. Some of the smaller stations have come and gone. But the nucleus of what we all started with, we've been fortunate to keep. Ted Dumas came and added a couple stations. We had a Natchez, Mississippi. We had a Slidell, Louisiana. So we still got a very good state. There's a couple that I still want. But
I tell you what, though, man,
they're kind of political down there in Baton Rouge. I've been to Baton Rouge. I've only been fired twice.
But you look at the history of talk radio programs and syndicated programs. I don't think there's one longer than you except Rush. He is the only one.
Hannity's been on a long time, too. Huh?
I don't think Hannity has been on 25 years. I do not. He's been on 30?
Yeah.
Okay, then I stand corrected.
I don't know how long he's syndicated, okay, but I know Hannity's been around a while. But I think Rush was always – Rush is the big name. I mean, let's just be honest. He's still a big name in the business.
Well, as everybody says, you're the Rush of Louisiana, though. So it's
Now, Peggy's here.
No,
you got to tell a story, of the real story of when we were talking about getting on the air, when you came back to see me and the things that he wanted and what I handed you.
Well, I do say that when I first went in to see Moon, and he said, hey, yo, and I had started in radio in April of –
You had just started.
I had just started. And so I went in to see him to sell him some advertisements at the barbecue place, and he says, hey, what do you think it would take for me to do a talk show? And I said, well, heck if I know, but let me go find out, and I'll come right back.
She was new in the business.
So I was new,
I knew I could fool her.
He said, geez, so I came back and I asked Bob, and he said, gosh, he needs to bring me an outline of really what he wants to talk to, what he wants to talk about, what's, all that outline and his advertisers. That's right. And so I went
Couldn't make any money. I had to write that in there, too.
Yeah, we just were paying the bills. We were paying the bills. And it was easy back then because it was 1 hour. So we just said, we'll get 4 advertisers. Each one gets 30 seconds every break. It was super easy. We did the math, and it was super easy. So I came back and told Moon, and he did me out an outline, and I went by to pick it up, and he just tore it out of a spiral notebook. And I said, wait a minute. I said, do you really want me to? I said, do you want me to, like, type this up for you? I said, I can make it look nice. He said, no, no, ma'am. He said, you give it to him just like this. Because this is what it is. This is the way I am. This is what it's. So we sure enough,
that's how the show is, too.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's unorthodox, and that's how the show's been for 25 years. We're good.
But obviously, this is great.
No, really, I tell everybody, if you get in the radio business, come watch me, and then do the opposite. and look, she did that with sales. It's the best salesperson in the world. I'd go in and you'd go in and you want to add, people want to talk about politics. So Peggy comes with me a few times. She walks out and she said, you could sell anything to anybody. She said, but I'm going to give you a little pointer. She said, when you go in, focus on the business. She said, I don't want to talk to you and talk about you and talk about the politics and what you used to do. I was in the catering business, as y'all know.
Right.
And I took that advice from day one, and I've always used that. When I go see a business, it really is about the business. It really is about their business. It's not about me. And even though we talk politics, it really becomes, and that I've never forgot Peggy teaching me that, because I'm raw in everything. Like I said, you want to learn how to sell? You would make me take salespeople out in the community. Y'all would say, would you mind riding with a new salesperson? I'd put them in the truck and go, look, do not do nothing like I'm getting ready to do. And I'd walk into the Thomases, and I'd cut with them and cut up with them, and I'd go get a cold drink out of the refrigerator. They're looking at me going, what the heck are you doing? I said, that's what I said. You don't walk and take cold drinks out of the thing. You don't joke about the wife. You don't do that kind of stuff.
It's all about a passion. You have a passion for it, and it comes through, and everybody in this room knows it, and they see it. And when you walk into a client, the client sees it, and your listeners hear it.
Well,
that passion comes through.
It's been a fun 25 years, but without you and Peggy, it never happens.
Hey,
so to that, I'm thankful.
I enjoyed the ride, Moon.
Well,
it's been fun.
Yeah, I know.
I see you at 50.
Yeah, by the way, your wife's mad at me because I hadn't come in and done what I promised her, and I had to skip. So I'm indebted to the woman over there because I don't want her mad at me. I ain't worried about you. I ain't worried about you no more. I'm worried about her.
Here you go playing politics again.
Holiday, Peggy Sullivan. I got Lyle Miller and a lot more people that you're going to get to visit with. You're listening to the 25th anniversary of the Moon Griffon Show. We'll take a break. Be right back. Oh, welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. We are at Peggy Sullivan State Farm Agency. It's actually located on Louisville Avenue. Big red top on it. You cannot miss it. And we're broadcasting here 25th anniversary. We're just thanking some folks, and I got some old friends stopping by. You're welcome to stop by. They got a little coffee and cookies and breakfast and something to drink. So if you want to stop by, we'd love to say hi to you, especially if I hadn't seen you in a while, because we've been here 25 years, so it's been a long run. Matter of fact, the people that I got right here, dear friends, I actually knew them first when I was in the catering business.
That's true.
Sheridan Phillip Thomas. And Sharon, you remember me before him because I used to come in there begging you to eat my food.
Yes, you did.
You remember that? That seemed like yesterday, don't it?
Well, it does. And the biggest thing I can remember is that you would come in and talk about balled crawfish, balled shrimp. Oh, I had no idea what balled was.
They shave them. He does them extra special. That's what makes them unique is he shaves them.
I suppose
well, let me tell you something. Going to live in Lafayette, that's not gotten better.
I see that.
No, but it's, and of course, Philip, and these folks right here, they mean a lot as friends first, but they were some guys I could go to and say, look, I'm doing this radio program. What are you doing? They're talking. They said, you know what, we'll sponsor you. And so.
And Moon, we didn't do any retail. So, it's not like in the paper business, we're going to peddle paper on the side of the road or something like that.
That was what I call some moon love.
Yeah.
I didn't have to advertise. and basically you did. To help me out, and you did it for a while, and I think, Sharon, you said earlier, y'all never really did any advertising before or since, because that's not what you do.
You were our only one.
That's right.
Hey, and let me tell you this, the company was major successful, and so they only advertised with one, so I'm taking all the credit.
That's right.
I do have to say we had one person that called us from all those advertising spots, and it was a little lady that drove by our office and saw the precision paper and board. She came in, said, I heard your thing on the radio, and she wanted to know where Chris Christmas paper was. we had no Christmas wrapping paper.
Y'all were advertising to help me out. Y'all would do it, and y'all never retailed. Y'all wasn't gonna get calls from anybody.
We did industrial paper that you don't even use on the common marketplace, and maybe some poster board type stuff.
Y'all ship stuff all over the country.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
And by the way, I want to show people how life it comes around. Y'all did that for me. And years ago, y'all started something called Pilots for Patients. Now, I don't know if you were the original guy that started it, but I think you were.
Yes.
Along with maybe somebody else. But
we had 5 original people that came together to start this.
And so when people hear your advertisement on my program, and it's more of a public service announcement.
Yes, it is, a PSA.
Y'all, and I laugh how things come around. You help me out. Y'all call me, and I say, Philip, you got any advertisement? And he said, yeah, we got some stuff. And I said, send it to me. I said, and it's helped y'all. Y'all picked up patients. And I think y'all picked up some pilots.
Yes, we had from all over the state, South Louisiana, too. So we started with 5 pilots, Moon, at, Pilots for Patients back in 2008 was our first mission. And listen, we have grown to 143 pilots around the state, plus in the Houston Metroplex, over 40 pilots. So, unfortunately, we have a lot of cancer in this area, and within a 50-mile radius, I would say 74% of our flights go to Houston to either MD or Texas Children's.
Talk a little bit real quick, and I have a couple minutes, about what y'all actually do.
Yes.
Somebody's listening and say, who do y'all take, and who qualifies for this? Real quick.
Right. Basically, Pilots for Patients is a volunteer pilot organization that takes patients to specialized treatment facilities that are ambulatory and medically stable. Let me emphasize that. We don't do critical care, not on stretchers, but you got to physically walk on and off the plane. But like I've always said, Moon, and this is what we set this up on years ago, is that you can't help your neighbors and friends. Who can you help? And, we're all neighbors and friends in the state, and unfortunately we're separated by a little distance. But, those aircraft are common denominators that takes the distance out of the equation.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and that's why they can go to your website, pilotsforpatients.org, and find out all the information. And there's some phone numbers if somebody wants to call. So maybe you have you have somebody that's sick, or you're a pilot and you say, I want to get involved in that kind of a ministry to help people, help your fellow friends.
You're right.
Go to the website.
Yeah, go to the website.
Find out the information, and they can talk to y'all. I mean, there's a phone number. And
we have a couple of coordinators to coordinate the flights. But look, like us on Facebook, and you really get to see what we're doing on a daily basis. Everybody says, "Oh, you're flying 3 or 4 flights a month." I said, "A month." We're flying 15 to 30 missions a week. We've now reached over 4,323 missions. I got to pull this up this morning.
And all because y'all advertise on the Moon Griffon.
Oh, yeah. You know it, buddy. It all helps. Hey, you know what?
No, you got to be honest with you. You think I've been hanging around politics too much?
Yeah. Hey, I always said this is a we organization. It's not a me and Sharon or Wayne Petrus or whoever organization. It takes all of us to make this work, and that's what makes it unique. And, man, we've flown almost 1.6 million nautical miles. And, hey, are you a sailor? No. Do you know what a nautical mile is?
No.
Well, nautical miles are longer than statute miles. Most people don't know that.
I knew it was longer, but I didn't know exactly how much.
Yeah, but let me make it easier even for you, Moon.
Because we got to take a break.
Okay, 74 times around the equator.
Wow.
Yes.
A few trips.
Yeah, a few trips.
Thank y'all. I wanted to give back to y'all because you guys gave so much to me.
Thank you.
God bless. All right, quick break. Back.
Yeah.
We're here at Peggy Sullivan State Farm Agency in Monroe. Lyle Miller up next. Walter Abbott. Smile, Walt. We're coming right back. Well, welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607 is the Hickson Has It hotline. We appreciate Dallas Hickson. All of our radio stations and, of course, all of our great advertisers that have been with us from day one and still with us. We are humble 25 years in the business. I'm not doing this to gloat. I'm doing this to thank y'all and the people and of course, all the friends that we've made in this business for a long time. We probably made a few enemies. I just don't know them real close. But anyway, great to have you with us. We are at Peggy Sullivan State Farm office here in Monroe. We're right here off of Louisville Avenue. You're welcome to come by and say hi. We've seen a bunch of people already this morning, and we'd love to see you as well. All right, I got 2 gentlemen on here that these guys don't know what they mean to me, but they really helped me tremendously. Walter Abbott, who, people don't see your name on the radio or not. They do this other guy. But, Walt, you were the original guy to help me run around and say, hey, y'all ought to put this guy on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the guy in New Orleans who almost threw us out?
Yeah, well, I can't recall his name, but it was WTIX in
right.
New Orleans. 690 was, and we had a nice visit, but
Remember he told us, he said, but y'all got a good gig going already. Why don't you just stay up there? That was his exact words, and it's like he didn't want us in his area. Yeah. He was really good friends with Mike Fossey, remember?
Yeah,
ended up getting in a lot of trouble. I just can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't either. Tell me, how long you been on Keel in Shreveport now?
Probably 18 plus.
Yeah, I remember Erin McCarty.
Erin's still there.
Yeah, she's the one that she always told me that she was the one that pulled the strings to get you on. She's good.
At the time, they
went
Clear Channel. Erin was the biggest pusher for me. There was also a general manager there at the time. I forget his name, and I apologize. He was in there with me and went through the process, and we had worked on that station for a long time. Remember Barney Cannon? Barney was the program director at the time, and Barney was the one that did not want me on that. Barney's passed away.
Yeah.
He ended up getting off of Keel and going to the country station that they did the hayride and all that. And when I finally made it there, Barney would tell people after a year or two of being on there, he'd say, I can't believe I never put him on. There was something about you. I just thought, oh, my God, same syndication. And Barney would laugh because he became the engineer or in the engineering deal, and he used to laugh because he said, well, I don't know why I never put him on, but I'm glad he's here now, and he was really a good guy. But Erin McCarty is still there. Erin and Robert do an awesome job in the mornings, and so she hadn't late. The next gentleman here is Lyle Miller, and really Lyle doesn't need an introduction to our program because he's hosted the program many, many times on all the stations that we're on. First of all, thanks for coming by.
I absolutely wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, we miss Lyle, but people don't know we talk a lot still.
We do. We were morning conversations. I have to say your equipment's a lot better than when I was working with you.
Well, you know what it did?
I had duct tape on my headgear back then. I finally bought my own headphone and mic because I'd come in, you'd have to hold it up on your head and they couldn't put it, wouldn't clamp.
I wish I could argue with you, but I can't.
Well, times were tough. And I guess you were pulling those headgears off and throwing them at Gullius or something. I'm not sure.
When you get in this business, Lyle, and you started with me really the early days too, you don't know anything. Never been on a radio station in my life till I got behind a microphone. It probably still shows. And at the time, I just thought, well, they'll have headsets there, they'll have that. And through the years of growing, and you find out that if you really want something, and by the way, it's not a cut on a radio station. It's the fact. I was syndicated. I was really tied to everybody but no one at the same time, with the exception of a holiday. And so you find out, you know what, let me get my own equipment. You start buying stuff. And when I moved to Lafayette, I give credit to Matt, who's an engineer, and Grimsley and them, when they brought me down there, they told me, this is what we need to buy equipment-wise. And I bought it, and of course, I wrote it off because I can. So we went on and invested the money into the equipment. Don't mean we hadn't had problems, but it's good to have stuff at least you think you can count on.
Moon, you may not know this. Me and Lyle go back before there was a Moon. Me and him go back to when Dave Treen was governor.
Yeah.
A long time.
Dave Treen was my first political guest on a Saturday morning when 9.5 people were listening.
Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah.
You know where that came from? And I hate to cut him. I wish he'd come by. Gullius. Me and Gullius had a love-hate relationship. I really like Greg. I've never had anything against Greg. But Greg, the first time a book came out, Greg went in upset because he was the program director. You don't need that loud. Just put it aside. And he was upset, and I overheard him talking about me, and it wasn't in a positive way. And Gullius has since then talked about me positively. But anyway, that was back in the day, and I heard that. And I thought, what can I do to counter that? Now, Lyle, you taught me this. Lyle's taught me a lot, but he said, what sticks is humor. What gets you through life is humor. My dad taught me that. Learn how to laugh at yourself. So I got on the air. It was the first book. We were only in a half a book. And I said, we got 9.5 listeners. And I started making fun. Well, you think about that. And I'm not throwing Greg on the bus because me and Greg had some good times. But think about that. What's the best way to offset that? I hadn't even been on the air. I wasn't on every day. And you had to get that routine. So that's where the 9.5 listeners came.
Well, we carried it for a long time, but Governor Treen honored it. Well, my father and Walter, they all worked with Governor Treen. He was a great guy, and he did a Saturday morning with me when I was young. And when you do these shows, you'd sit down a couple of days before, and I wasn't like you. I didn't have the gift of gab, so I'd just make a list of all the possible topics you may talk about. And some days you get through the list in the first 15 minutes, and the phone would ring. You're like, "Where's the light?"
I know. And then some days you get through one topic and couldn't get off of it.
He said he hasn't the gift of gab, but he's been elected. Me or you couldn't get elected.
When Lyle got the gift of gab, the difference between me and him, I get real emotional. and it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. Bill actually knows what he's talking about. You know, I do want to bring this up too, Lyle, and you're going to remember this too, and y'all going to remember the late C.B. Ferguson, who was a fixture on this program for about 12 years. Lyle had been on the program, and due to whatever, Lyle couldn't do what he was doing, so he couldn't really come on the program a bunch anymore. But when he was on here, it was Lyle Miller's introduction to CB through his post and reading. You remember the first conversation, and when you talked to him, tell a little bit about the history of him, because, you know, people still miss CB. I know I do. And people still comment about, boy, I know you got to miss your guy Ferguson, and I do.
Well, as Walter said, I try to be fact-based, and
you do.
And I found CB was from Tensas Parish down in Newellton, that area, and my family's from Tensas Parish, and so we had some ties, and I contacted him, and we had a great conversation. I said, look, I realized how knowledgeable he was because he'd been a legislative lawyer or what, he wasn't an assistant, but he was in the state legislature, so he was extremely knowledgeable about the process, and we were trying to learn the process, and that just kind of evolved from there.
But
we had a lot of fun.
Matter of fact, I never had him on, but every time you hosted, and Paul's here, he'll talk about that later in the program, but every time you hosted, just about, you thought, boy, man, you need to read this guy's blog, you need to check him out. I said, this guy's really good, because a lot of times when you were hosting for me, it's because I was gone, and I wasn't going fishing all the time. But I was gone, and so I didn't get to hear him as much.
Well, yeah, we did go fishing. You fell out of the boat.
That's true.
You know, I went fishing. He and I went fishing one time, and he caught more than I did.
He didn't bring me back.
Well, I've never been front-ended so bad in a boat. I thought my father was bad when he had one of those crappy white perch boats that had you steered in the front, so he got the front of everything.
Oh, yeah?
Moon didn't even have that. He was worse. I mean, it was like I was throwing out in open water, and he was up on the bank.
Did we go on the river?
Oh, we did, river.
No, I brought you on a bayou back.
We went down to Bayou Mason.
That's where we were.
Yeah, and we went on. We've been on the river, and I said, we went up to Luter, and I was like, how am I going to get a bait on that shore? We were like at 90 degrees to the shore.
But you got to understand something. The water fell out of the Luter. It was like fishing in a little stream. So if you went to back the boat, it was tough.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul Hurd got a story too when he made a cast from my rod, and we never saw it again. and look, it was when the river was high and the current was going so strong, we would have had to go to Columbia Locks and Dam to find that puppy. But
you'll find this funny. We were down Lake Bruin. We were coming back, and I've gotten, I've always liked this. I run the 2-lane roads instead of I'll go the interstate down and come back to the farm country on the way back. I don't know what it is, genetic or something from Tensas. And we were going by that bayou where that little landing was at Bayou. And my wife said, there was a bunch of boats out there, and she said, who would fish there? I said, Moon and I.
All right, we'll take a break. Y'all don't go nowhere. Got another segment. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. We're at Peggy Sullivan's State Farm. By the way, just for people that are interested, Peggy got me into business. Now, Peggy was slick enough to steal all my State Farm business. She owns it all now, so I'm still paying her back. Anyway, she does a great job, though. I wouldn't be using her, I promise you. Anyway, take a break. Be right back. Welcome back, Moon Griffon Show, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, we do want to mention we will be in Ellick tomorrow. I'm in Lake Charles yesterday, Monroe today, and Ellick tomorrow. I'm not on this big hiatus to celebrate 25 years. It just happened to line up that way. We will be in conjunction. KSYL 970 AM, which we've been there probably over 19 years, is now, they got that number, but they also KSYL 104.9 FM. You realize a lot of these stations, almost all of them have gotten FM dials. Since we started, it was all AM. Now everybody, with the exception of a few stations that we have, are AM and FM. They still have the AM dial, but they now branched out to FM, which I think is a gigantic move for them, not only in the terms of being FM dials, but also in revenue. And I'm really proud of them. Those guys in Central Louisiana worked their butts off, and Taylor and Charlie, I'm humble to those guys. So we'll be at Hickson Autoplex tomorrow, so if you want to come by and visit, we'd love to see you. Walter Abbott, who's been a big friend for a long time, and Lyle Miller, who's been a friend for a while as well, are my special guests today. We're kind of reminiscing a little bit. I will go back to CB. When you hooked him with him, he became a really good friend. It's a shame he's not here anymore because he had, you remember you mentioned a knowledge, but he really did, Lyle. But Lyle's kind of like a CB, and I'm saying this as a compliment. because you guys, when I talk to you guys, y'all really do a great job of y'all get your facts together. And that's what you taught me more than anything was that if you're going to say something and do something, you ought to have your facts in line. And people don't realize this. I've spent 3 times with 3 different governors, and I sat in the same chair. Hurd came with me one time, Governor Blanco, and I'll get to him in a little bit because that was an embarrassment. But when you were with me and Mike Foster, you were over there shaking your head, too, because he was talking about – didn't you work for government or doing something in Mississippi?
Well, my first job out of college in Jackson was the peer review committee, which was the legislative auditor's office. That was the first I was with the first group of 40 legislative auditor in the state of Mississippi. So for a year, I was auditing community or junior colleges, they called them there.
So you knew how many they had and kind of the
I'd been on every campus. I'd stayed in every Holiday Inn and eaten every bad meal. I'd leave on Monday morning and get back Friday night. I told a guy the other day, I ran into him over in Jackson. He was the Bank of Utica. It was the only bank open on Saturday, and you had to go deposit your check and get some cash and do your laundry because you're on the road. But anyway, he sat there at that lunch as he pointed his hunting knife at you that he was cutting his steak with. He was making his point to you. But I'd beg, he was talking about how many colleges. Louisiana had twice as many colleges.
Mississippi
had twice as many colleges as Louisiana. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, I'm mentally kind of saying.
No, but you did stop the governor. I disagree with that.
And he's like, well, I don't know where you got your facts. And I said, well, I work for the state of Mississippi, and I've been on all those campuses, and I audited about 9 of them. And he said, well, I'll have to check with my staff, but that's what they tell me.
That's what they tell me. He said that a lot, by the way, that day.
That's what they tell me. But I'd begged Moon on the ride down there. I said, Moon, I know this is not common for you, but I want you, he's asked us down to hear what the listeners are thinking.
I got preaching.
And I said, I want you to wait till he asks you a question before you start talking.
You did that. I
know. I said, please wait. Let's just see if he's truly interested in hearing what you have to say or whether he wants you to hear what he has to say. And so Moon said, yeah, I'll do it. Well, that lasted about through the salad course.
Yeah. No, what's funny is Hurd preached the same thing, and I'm going to tell you how y'all taught me and I learned. You ready? I went and meet with Edwards. Sat in the same chair I sat with you at lunch, sat with you. Governor right there. And I really did learn because when I sat down loud, I leaned up and I grabbed my mouth with my fingers and kind of leaned up. And I told myself, you didn't call him, he called you. That means he wants to tell you something. And it's kind of like what happened with that comment. His first comment out of his mouth was, now, what do you want to talk to me about? And I'm sitting there thinking, going back to the days, going, what did my elders tell me? Shut up till you ask. And I looked at little Richard Carbo was sitting there and Mark Cooper. And Mark was a real good guy. Carbo's a little PR, a little minion. And so my eyes glanced up at Carbo just like I'm looking at you. And Carbo's, look, he's got his phone. He's freaking out. I said, well, Richard Carbo told me you wanted to talk to me. So Richard Carbo looked up from his phone going, oh, my God. Well, I was honest. And I basically, until about 5 to 6 minutes, I know you don't believe me, I didn't say a word. But after hearing that too much, I had to finally cut off, and then it went back and forth. But I just remember the fun days, and I remember when we did that conversation with the governor like that was yesterday. I really do. That was an interesting conversation to be invited to the governor's mansion. The only one since I've been doing the program that didn't invite me is Edwin, which I wouldn't invite me if I was him either, and Bobby Jindal. They were the only two I never got. And by the way, it was out of respect for them that I went. Blanco was very pleasant. Paul will talk about that later. Very pleasant, very nice lady. The one that didn't know a damn thing in the room was not Blanco, was not Paul, was not me. It was what was the guy that was in there? He's a little minion out of New Orleans Times-Picayune. He worked for John Bro. Bob, man.
Oh, yeah.
Bob knew the least of anybody I've ever been around about state government. He was put there through Bro. Because remember, Bro was getting out. They wanted him to run for governor. Blanco ran, so that was where he failed for about a year. And the reason he was gone, Walt, he couldn't answer nothing.
He'd
run to the phone. Every time Herb would say something, he'd run to the phone and go, okay, well, they're going to get back to me.
You know what Bob Mann does now?
Well, he's an antagonizer writing articles about once a week. I don't know what else
he teaches journalism at LSU. And
y'all want to pray now?
And to go even further back, he was a disc jockey on KNOE FM, I believe. No, he did the news. He was here?
Yes,
sir.
Did you know that? I've never heard that.
back in the early 80s, he was on KNOE FM.
That's before he went with Bro.
And he did the news. He was a newsman, and I think he wrote for the News Star a little bit.
Wow.
But this would have been in the late 70s or early 80s.
We got about 4 or 5 minutes.
I want to tell you, congratulations on your 25 years, and I want you to know that I have been proud to have you as a friend for these 25 years, and it's good to know.
We don't talk as much as we used to, but we do every now and then. I'm trying to get him to run against Rob Shadwan.
Well, I couldn't. I'd get 2 votes, maybe.
No, but Lyle, you've been around for a long time. Lyle used to fill in.
Well, let's walk back real quick. It started on was it Saturday morning?
It was a Monday at 2:05, and then I went Monday, Saturday morning.
Monday, Saturday
then it was
morning.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay,
Saturday
well, I didn't pick up with you till Saturday morning,
okay.
And then you went 3 days a week,
mm-hmm.
And then I was elected to city council, and thanks to Mayor Norris and West Monroe, we had a good relationship, and Tommy McJunkin and Tom Holtzclaw and other police.
I remember that like that was yesterday.
Right. Well, it was a local show then, and they were awesome in helping me and George Cannon and a lot of people that would come on the show as guests to talk about local events, and it was a lot of fun.
I remember we did all the local, and Abe Pierce was mayor, and just the Neville High School. They went out there and registered all these people to vote. And the black kids could vote, the whites couldn't, and we made a big. Remember the Glenwood Hospital deal? It was a lot of local back then. I remember when I syndicated, I just did 1 hour at first, and I remember you telling me, man, why you want to do that? I mean, it was going to be tough. Old Bird Minner, he's passed away, and those guys said, we did the numbers. You can't make it as a syndicated program. I remember him telling me that. I said, well, I'm kind of like Tim Tebow. I'd be damned if I'm not going to try.
Well, I tried to have all. There was the owner and the publisher Roosevelt Wright of the Free Press here in Monroe. I would have him on as a guest, and then he'd say, "You going to do what?" And he and I didn't. We agreed on more than we disagreed on, but we certainly had a different perspective. I remember this day. He said, I was against gambling. He was for the gambling. Okay. And he said, well, what's the difference in Wall Street and a gambling boat? Y'all don't know any more about those stocks you're buying than we do about the dice we're throwing. And I took that home. I said, well, maybe he's probably got a good point.
You remember my nemesis on the call screen was a guy named Steve who ended up turning out to be Charles Kincaid, who wrote for the newspaper. Charles passed away. I know y'all know that. He died 3 or 4 years ago. Probably.
He was, and I've seen him in court. I've covered some trials that he lawyered in, I guess you'd say. He was a good lawyer.
Yeah, well, I know people had used him, and he spoke well, but he used to be a nemesis. He called almost every day to beat you up.
He was not ashamed of his liberalism at all.
Well, everybody was very gracious. Governor Foster was extremely gracious at lunch, and Governor Blanco. And even though we may have been on different sides, they were very gracious.
Well, I got to tell you, the governor, when I met with Edwards and his staff, and they were very great. Got to meet his wife. No doubt about that. There's a big difference between being gracious and being nice and being a decent person in politics. I'm talking about the politics. These people are all nice people. Lyle, thank you.
Man, congratulations.
Thank y'all. God bless, guys. Y'all been a big part of it. We'll take a break. Be right back. More to come right here from Peggy Sullivan State Farm Agency in Monroe. Hi, welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Boy, I tell you what, it's been a great morning for me. I have seen some old friends and people that have been around this business with me and watched this grow for 25 years. And by the way, for people that think that I'm celebrating me, I'm not. I'm just thankful we had all these people that have come through already this morning and still to come, celebrating our 25th anniversary. And I owe a lot to Peggy. Of course, Peggy Sullivan's in the insurance business, and we're at her State Farm location in Monroe, which is located on Louisville Avenue, and I didn't ever grab the right address. What's the real address? Louisville Avenue is long.
Louisville Avenue. That's right. It's 1810 Louisville Avenue. And I always say, I'm Louisville Avenue State Farm Agent Peggy Sullivan.
Yeah, but you know what, though? If you know where Louisville and 18th Street comes together, you can't miss it because it's a beautiful red building, roof
red
on the top.
Tin roof.
Absolutely. We used to do an advertisement in Alexandria, a Key Realty. I hope I'm not butchering it because these are best women. They're all women. And they used to say the lipstick red roof.
Lipstick red.
And it was a lipstick red, and it was this beautiful building. They still in business, and actually one of the ladies has passed away, but really great ladies, and Peggy does a great job. And by the way, Peggy, when you weren't here, I told him you're still the best salesperson I ever met because I'm in Lafayette, Louisiana now, and I'm buying my insurance through Peggy, who lives in Monroe. And is it a friendship relationship? Yeah. But I owe Peggy a lot, and we're tickled to death to have Peggy. She does have to fuss at me, so she started communicating with my bride, Tanya, so make sure to get everything straight. That's a true story. So anyway, we do thank Bob Holliday and KMLB and the radio people, just very gracious people, and I appreciate everything they've done for me. And, of course, we live in Lafayette now. All right, Peggy, we want to do this, and we'll let you introduce. We got Miss Sarah Hoffman, who has joined us, and it's a big deal going on. And, by the way, for people that like to cheat when they vote and want to vote more than once, we have an opportunity for you right here to vote more than once. And now, Sarah, how you doing?
That's right. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Tell us what you got going on, Sarah.
Well, I'm here from the Food Bank of Northeast Louisiana, and we're here to ask everybody to vote every day 10 times. You can do 10 times with one click of a button. Imagine
How
that.
you like that, folks? And by the way, you people that vote for Democrats, you can practice. I'm joking. It's just a joke. My God, we got to be able to laugh at ourselves. But go ahead, Sarah. Tell us about the
We're
Food Bank.
asking everybody to get online and vote. We are one of the finalists for a $25,000 grant from State Farm Neighborhood Assist, and this would be a huge deal in our community. It would allow us to add 200 more low-income senior citizens onto our senior food program. Wow. They would get a box of food every month for a year. Louisiana is actually the highest rated in the country for senior hunger, so we need this in our community.
So this would be State Farm, Peggy, donating the money?
That's right.
Now, when you say that, when they go vote, what are they voting for? Is this are they doing this around the state, around the country? How does that work?
It's around the country. There are 200 causes that made it into the finals, and now the public is going to decide by vote who the top 40 are. We don't even have to be number one. We just need to be in the top 40. I think we're one of 3 causes in Louisiana that's in the running for this, but the only one in our area.
Wow. So tell them where they have to go to vote.
They just need to go to neighborhoodassist.com.
Okay.
And it's super easy. Like I said, neighborhoodassist.com. So you go in and you register, and it's just strictly an email and a password. And then every day you just log back in and you click the button. So basically, really, it's today and tomorrow because it ends after tomorrow. But I need y'all to understand how important it is to do it today and tomorrow and to share it, because literally, we can make a difference in our community if we can get all of our friends, our coworkers. I mean, this is very important for us. Today and tomorrow are important days. So we need to go to neighborhoodassist.com and register to vote if you haven't already. And it's just a click. You don't have to go in there 10 times and do it. You click the button and say vote, and then it's done 10 times for you.
I think that's how the ballots work in the city of New Orleans. But
Griffon.
Go ahead. Well, I got to have a little political fun. But, Sarah, say it again, what this is for. And talk about it, and like you did when we came on. It's $25,000 grants. I guess they sent it 40 out.
Right. So a total of $1 million across the country,
I knew that number. I did that in my head really quick. I don't have Common Core math. I did it really quick.
I had to use a calculator.
Well, you're more of a millennial. That's why. No, but it's 40 groups, so you'd like to get somebody from Louisiana, at least one of y'all, to get into this.
Yes.
To be involved in
yes, we need this money to come to Northeast Louisiana so we can feed more senior citizens. The Food Bank of Northeast Louisiana gets calls every single day from seniors who need food assistance who want to sign up for the program, but our budget is limited for this program, so we tend to have a waiting list. We want to take these people off the waiting list and get them the food.
This is senior citizens, but on the flip side, y'all do other things with the food bank.
Yeah.
Y'all helping other people because y'all been around a while.
We have.
I remember the food bank when I lived here, so this is something that's been around a while.
Yes. We serve a 12-parish region. Last year we distributed about 5.1 million pounds of food.
Wow. So y'all helping out. I'm taking you helping poor, elderly, and probably some other groups as well.
Everybody in between.
Okay, one more time, ladies. Peggy.
Neighborhoodassist.com. And please, today and tomorrow, because tomorrow will be the final day. So it's super important. Once again, neighborhoodassist.com. Please share it. Get your friends, your coworkers, everybody, because I promise you it's easy. And look at the rewards that our area can, benefit from just by casting the vote, registering.
And once you get registered, there's a little drop-down box you click and select your state. When you pull up Louisiana, you'll see the food bank listed there.
Okay, pretty cool.
Super easy.
Sarah, thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thank you,
I hope you get it. Don't go nowhere, Peggy. All right, Sarah, I'm going to let you go. Okay. Is that all right if I let
That's,
Sarah know?
yeah,
I don't
you
want
can.
to tell. I'm going to bring Paul in. I'm going to let my next door neighbor. He probably got at least one story he could tell on me.
Awesome.
My old next door neighbor. He's glad I left because, boy, you slimming up over there. Never mind. We can talk about that later. But Butch was the only one I knew that you'd be cooking in the kitchen, getting ready for the kids, and you would just, you know how you can feel somebody's behind you?
Yeah.
So I'm cutting ribs, and my door's the back side, right side toward the back, and I'm cutting ribs, and I'm going, I just feel, and I look back, and his nose is pressed up against the window. His wife's gone. His kids are not there, and I cooked all the ribs outside, and he's up against the window, and I'm going, and he's out there with tears rolling down his eyes. He's so hungry. So I got to feed him.
Anyway, hurt his
Peggy,
feelings.
I do want you to, I do want to thank you by yourself because you were the one that said, you know what, you were new in the business, and you went to Bob with the idea, and y'all knew me, and Bob knew me. We were friends from catering.
Right.
And it was amazing that it even developed like it is. And look, when you look back today, you got to laugh.
Yeah.
Because we laughed a lot about everything that went on, and I don't mean nothing bad. It's just comical, kind of how life is sometimes.
You're exactly right.
Things you get into that you never dreamed of being in.
And that it could be real. I mean, when I talked to you about that, and we did you did the outline, and we turned it in, and we started the show, and we were thinking, how are we going to do this 1 hour, and how easy it was. And now look how big it is. Well, it's just amazing.
I'm still shocked that I've been allowed to stay on as long as I have.
But you know what? And I
have met the best people.
You have met some great people.
To Lafayette, to Shreveport, to Monroe, to Lake Charles, every station in between, to the North Shore. I have met more people and got the opportunity to do things I never would have done. Yeah. And I don't mean from a financial standpoint. I mean just from people you get to meet. Yeah.
Well, it's been incredible. I think you've done a great job, and, you know, I see how much you not only are passionate about your show, but you research it. That's right. And but you know your stuff, and you spend a lot of time getting ready for your shows so you can deliver the best thing to your listeners.
Like I said, I tell somebody all the time, you ain't got to agree with me. But when I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. Peggy, real quick, we're going to do a little bit of PR for you. And I got to take a break, and I got Paul Hurd. Butch Gandy's in the house as well. You're full service.
That's right.
And I told people earlier, you got all my stuff. I said, you're such a good salesperson, you got all my stuff now. But what all do you do? There's really not anything you really don't do. You sell life insurance, health insurance, car insurance.
That's right. Car insurance, and then we do homeowners and renters, any type of fire policy, umbrella policies.
Oh, I got to check
personal,
that, by the way.
But
the other day somebody called me and from Lafayette. It was dealing with car insurance. We weren't going to go any deeper. And I said, well, call Peggy. She can answer that question. I couldn't answer it. And they called you, didn't they?
That's right.
They were the nicest people in the world.
Oh, what a nice, he was just super nice. And he really bragged about you and what a great person you were, too. And
he lied.
So he did. But I told him, I said, how much did Moon pay you to say that?
No, but the thing about it is you didn't get any business. You just helped him.
No, I just helped him.
Somebody can call you that's listening to this program out of the state.
Yeah.
They may or may not use you. But if they call you, I know you. You're going to try to help them.
Exactly. But that's what it's all about. And that's why I'm here today, and you're where you are, is because we're all about helping neighbors,
No doubt about it. But I appreciate it. I really
Absolutely.
do. You were the first person when we thought about coming to this program. I said, what better? The lady that helped me get in radio, that I probably ran out of radio, let's come to her place.
Listen, you didn't make me get out of radio. You made the years that I worked in radio very successful.
That was a trip.
And very successful. So that was great.
All right, Peggy, thank you. God bless. All right, we're going to take a break. Paul Hurd's going to join us. I'm going to bring my neighbor in here for a second. He's looking thin, and I know why he's looking thin. He's not eating as well as he was at one time. I wonder why. Anyway, Moon Griffon Show here, Peggy Sullivan's State Farm. And it's her deal, folks. Make sure you check her out. Take a break. Be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. We are at Peggy Sullivan State Farm Agency in Monroe, Louisiana, celebrating our 25th anniversary. By the way, in Ellick tomorrow. We'll be there at Hickson Autoplex. Hope you come by then. And so we'll be here for a little while longer. There's still plenty of food left and plenty of water. Kick that mic way up there. All right. Paul Hurd, y'all, no stranger to the program.
Good morning. I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Another decade.
Yeah. You don't know if you got one more minute or one more day in this business, but we're going to be grateful. The next gentleman sitting right here before I get back to Paul is my old neighbor, Butch Candy. People don't realize if you stayed here 2 hours and started telling all the stories on me, how I'm a good mechanic, and how I fixed everything at your house and my house, how I took care of yards. I mean, you could really have fun.
Moon, let me tell you. Congrats, first 25 years on the air, and you're doing fabulous. But listen, when I drove up, there were 2 cop cars that sitting over to me, and I said, okay, and I told Paul, I said, Lord.
By the way, the Attorney General was on the air at the time, so go ahead.
I heard that. I'm going like, okay, they're going to do a sting operation as soon as they get up here, because they know Moon's friends, so-called friends, are coming up by to see him, and so there's a good chance to arrest him.
Some of them have outstanding warrants.
I hope that was from the early days, not the later days. But
let me tell you, look, do you realize how much weight I lost after
you look like you lost a lot of weight.
I just about starved to death.
Yeah, but this is what. Now let's be honest. I moved into Butch.
2 weeks. I moved in 2 weeks later.
He comes over there and heard me talking. And he walks over there and he says, "Are you moving Griffon?" I said, "Yeah." He literally got on his knees and he did the bow to me like that, and I thought, we ain't buying this damn house. But we did develop a relationship. He had kids. We followed their kids. They followed ours. What happened with me and Butch, now, Butch, if I'm wrong, you explain it to him. I figured out Butch can fix anything. He can service a lawnmower. He can tell you how to cut your grass. There's not anything he can't really do, and I mean that sincerely. He found out I couldn't do a dang thing. But he started sniffing and found out I could cook. He remembered me from the catering days.
That's absolutely
so
correct.
we made a deal. He said, I tell you what, whatever you can't do, which was a lot of stuff, I'll do. From coming up and fixing electrical stuff to, but you do the cooking.
I will work for food. And Paul, it was a great relationship. Tanya would call me and says, can you come over and look at this? I said, what time are we going to eat? And it was real simple. Here's what was Moon had a patio that was in the sun, and he had this big old 55-gallon drum cooker, and he would get out, and it'd be 120 degrees out there in the sun. And I would find me a little corner, the only place I could get shade, and I'd sit there with a cold beverage, and I'd sit there and watch Moon sweat rolling off of him. He would never bat an eye. He would cook, and I'd sit there and just sip and say, give me a little sample of that, Moon.
Oh, they were great at samples, him and his son, Stephen. They would see, a sample is a little taste of like a rib. They'd eat 8 ribs for sample.
A serious sample.
No. Then they would go there and pile a plate up, and about halfway through the meal, they'd go, woo, I'm getting stuffed. I said, well, but you think it had anything to do with the 8 ribs you ate before you sat at the table? It was always a lot of fun, though. But we miss y'all. The Butch and them were great neighbors, and we had a lot of fun. And, of course, I know you've been seeing the pictures of Maddie, something I hadn't said much today. Maddie is the Kiwanis homecoming queen.
And what a beautiful queen.
Okay, and they awarded her, but today's a special day I always remember because tonight she'll walk on the football field. I think I'm walking with her. They're going to drive out at the UL football field. And matter of fact, when she walks out tonight will be between the game, one game, and then STM, which is the school she goes to. She will actually walk out right before that game is played, so she'll have her hometown people. They've been celebrating at the school. It has been a big deal for her, and I'll have to show y'all this if you hadn't seen it. I don't know if my bride put it on the Facebook, but somebody from dance school, and since I don't know, this is going to surprise y'all, that's Tanya's department. Somebody came to the house last night, and this is what they put, a big deal across the front of the yard. It's with a football and some symbols. It says, it's good to be a queen, Maddie. And I want y'all to see this.
Oh, yeah, isn't that great? Yeah.
And Tanya said the lady had called and asked for the address, and when she was leaving this morning, she took the picture.
That's wonderful.
And so that's what Maddie has been getting a royal treatment. So although I'm saying thanking people for being on 25 years, Maddie's really the star today because I can promise y'all when we drive in that convertible tonight, she walks on that football field. And, and those STM people that know her will clap for her, and she will be in cloud 9. Remember, Butch, we talked about leaving it, Paul. We'll talk to you about it before, too. You kind of wonder if it's right to do what you're doing when you pick up your family and leave. We knew we did the right thing. We knew the good Lord had opened the door. And watching Maddie, Walker's done really good. Tanya loves her job. She had a great job here. And, of course, my job pretty much stayed the same. And so it really was the right thing to do.
Well, Maddie, in some of the time when I was helping you, was some of her times when she was struggling with her ear.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden in the middle of the night she'd be getting sick. Well, I'd get a call at 5:30 or 6. Can you do the show? and I did a lot of shows that way, and it was.
But I'm gonna tell you, the funniest thing she ever did with you, Butch.
Oh, I know. I know what this is.
We had a restaurant. Maddie was really young.
Yeah.
And Paul.
Probably 10.
I don't think she was that old.
Really?
I think she was like 6 or 7.
Okay.
And Paul's bald pretty much on top of his head, like I'm getting, and a lot of people are. And Maddie, just out of the time, you know of too, Butch, she would repeat questions.
Yep.
But the repeated question was, Paul, who cut your hair?
No, that's not what she said. She said, Mr. Hood, Mr. Paul, what happened to your hair?
Yeah.
What happened to your hair?
Maddie
I'm trying to hide under the
yeah, I never saw you get that short and try to get underneath. She was a blessing, and she
was. She still is. She's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And people that see her now go, wow, she's really matured. She really has. We probably notice it less because we're there every day. But when you notice you hadn't been around,
right,
you say, I got to take a break. Here at Peggy Sullivan State Farm office right here in Monroe. 25 years. We'll be right back. Yeah, Maddie. Welcome back to the Moon Griffon Show. And Monroe, Louisiana, celebrating 25 years. But I'm telling you, old friends and good time people. We've been having a great time this morning. And you couldn't even get in here this morning, but people came real early. It was kind of cool. And it's really been having a good time. And then my next door neighbor comes and his wife comes. She's slimmer than him, so they really are not eating, as he said.
We're starving to death. I'm telling you, she has one philosophy on cooking. If it's smoking, it's cooking. If it's black, it's done. And so, I mean,
I don't know. I never got invited to eat over there, so I wouldn't know. Y'all always came to my house. But on the flip side, when I needed something fixed, it was always at your house. So Butch told me, drive your tractor over here, and he would do the John Deere. Paul Hurd and Butch Gandy, my old next-door neighbor. And he's so glad we moved. He can't even see straight. But
No. Listen, I will, because I just got to let Paul get some good stories in with you, but I just got to compliment you. You could get on the air and fight with people the whole show, and at 10:59, 11 o'clock, it's just like a switch would flip, and there goes Moon. Okay. Hey, what you doing? Let's talk about fishing. Let's talk about baseball.
No, it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing, and I thank God for this. You can vouch for it as much as anybody. Paul been knowing me longer than you, but really the guy on the air is the guy on the road in the streets, with the exception of some of the emotional, get excited about politics and all that stuff. I don't think I change much. I get off, except I'm not going to fuss at you about who you voted for.
That's it.
That's right. Now, and it's funny, the elected officials that used to come on this program, you don't ever see them anymore. And they still elected officials because they get so mad at me because I put their voting record out or something like that. And they get mad at you. And I might have came up with a few good nicknames for a few of them.
Oh, yeah.
Just a few.
The Fee.
Just a few. The Fee and Clutch.
Oh,
and,
Clutch, yeah.
Pretty Boy, and, just a few nicknames.
Stand Up.
Stand-up guy. I mean, those stick, by the way. And they stick because they're true. There's a lot of truth to them. But, Paul, I want to go back. I was talking to Miller and him. I had the chance to go visit with the governor. They didn't let me take one with Edwards. But you came with me.
I came on one. I had forgotten about that.
Well, Paul, he came with me with Foster. Blanco got in office. And I said I had to take somebody. I called you this time.
Yeah.
I took Law. I said, well, let me bring Paul. So you came with me. It was a good deal. And we went in with Miss Blanco. Governor, by the way, very gracious lady.
Right.
It was never got hot. None of my deals with any of them.
No contentiousness.
No, and it wasn't going to because I was to make sure I didn't say a word. Although I said something, I had to watch what I said. But in that conversation with you, now Lyle made a joke about me talking, but when you came, you talked as much as I did because if you recall, she kept us a little longer. We only stayed an hour and a half with Foster. We stayed about 2.5 with Blanco. But if you remember Bob Mann kept running to the phone, making a phone call, and he would say, well, they're going to get back to me. He'd run to the phone call and say, they'll get back to you. You would say, well, hold up, that's not true. Here's the deal. And then finally we asked Bob Mann, said, Bob, where are you getting your information from? The Advocate. A news organization. I'm getting all my information from the news organization. And I thought, I'll be honest, I was embarrassed for him. He didn't know nothing. Now, remember, he came from John Monroe in the federal government. Do you remember that? Am I missing something here?
No. It was.
She was great. She was really good to talk to.
The biggest problem that we were having in, I guess, the 80s and 90s were that the propaganda of what the state government was doing versus what the state government was doing was why people like Lyle and maybe me a little bit, I mean, they'd start talking about what the law required. Well, I'm silly enough to go look it up. And
that's a CB for Gostin way of doing things.
That's
Let me
exactly
go actually
right.
Look at the facts.
Let me go look at it and see if it really says that. And often what we found was that there was tremendous amount of flexibility or gaps in the law, and what they were saying they were compelled to do, or that this is what we were doing. It just wasn't so. And that's why this show has been so good for the state for 25 years, is we've got an outlet for the real, for the actual.
The consistency of going to the governor's office 3 times, the consistency of it was, we need a tax rate increase. She wanted the tax
Sure
rate.
enough.
Edwards wanted the tax increase. Mike Foster wanted the Stelly bill. And it was amazing. They all wanted the same thing. And the key to all these governors, and you're going to agree with this, is that we hadn't changed anything. If you really look, we're still not funding our unfunded accrued liability.
It's an embarrassment.
We're still not fixing roads. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Even though we pay the same. If you can wait a minute, I wanted to get you. Okay, I'll mention you on the way. By the way, that's Ron Alexander. I wanted to mention Ron because Ron was one of my original advertisers, and Ron still has his clothing store, and it's a great clothing store.
It's the greatest clothing store for style, menswear, and I think he's got ladies' wear as well. Now.
I just spent about $600 with him the last 2 times I was up here with him. But Ron does a great job.
He's a great friend, and he's got a great store.
He really does. But going back to that, Paul, they hadn't fixed anything. I've been doing this for 25 years. Unfunded accrued liability, which is our retirement system, still dead meat. Roads, still no roads. Education reform, I've seen it. I've seen them try it, but I've never seen it succeed. Still in the bottom of the list. Jobs, they don't even think about jobs. Our state and our state government,
we never
even think about jobs.
Our unemployment today is 25% higher than the national average. The national average is like 3.9. We're at 4.9, and our people in government are bragging that our unemployment is that the lowest it's ever been. Well, the reason why is because we're bad, and we're still, relative to the rest of our states, we're still bad.
Well, here's what they're saying.
It's killing the oil and gas industry.
They're saying we got more employment now than we've ever had. Which, by the way, Paul, if you got minimum wage jobs, you can do that. The other thing they're saying is our unemployment rate's the lowest it's been in 10 years. But it's third highest in the country. You see what I'm saying? The GDP has been negative for 2 straight years. So the GDP came out in the first quarter, and we were up 2.3, which I don't know. We'll see. And they said it's the 15th best economy in the country. No, it's not. That's Fusco. That's total Fusco. But that's what they keep telling us. And they do that to spin. What is my reason to spin anything? That would be my question. Where does it put me at?
The last time I saw a track meet, and we were going to have a race on who's doing the best at any distance. The last time I checked, we took all 8 guys in the race, or 8 ladies, and we ran, and we saw who was first to last. What they do is say, we ran. Oh, we ran better today than we did, but we're still running dead last. Yeah. And that's what we need.
But Paul, when we went in with Blanco, and we went in and talked to Mike Foster, and I went in and talked to Edwards, none of them talked about economy. None of them talked about here's how we're going to create jobs by getting out of the way and making adjustments on the business taxes like we need to.
That's what we need to do.
Let me tell you what we've done. We've made it easier to be poor in the state. So guess what? The people that are leaving, best, brightest, educated.
Absolutely.
People that are staying are people saying, hey, if I go there, my earned income tax went up. If I go there, I get Medicaid. If I go work there, I can. You see what I'm saying? I get a free cell phone. And we've made it to where the people that are going to stay here, people getting the freebies. And the people that are leaving are the educated.
Well, and I wrote a book on this 10 years ago, and one of the chapters is entitled "That Which You Subsidize Will Grow, and That Which You Tax Will Leave." And if you think about it,
you know what chapter was it? I need to go get that and read it to them. I remember the chapter.
Look, that's what we've done. They talk about us not being an educated population. The reason is our educated workers and trained workers have left. It's not that we didn't have them.
That means me and you are uneducated.
Look, we're just hanging in there.
All right, we'll be back. Wrap it up. 25th anniversary. We'll be right back. Oh, welcome back, Moon Griffon Show. Last segment of the day. Once again, I cannot thank Peggy Sullivan enough, who's the lady that helped get me into business. She was new in the business. She didn't know what she was doing either. That's why I got into business. But she owns her own State Farm agency in Monroe. And if I had to recommend anybody, it would be Peggy Sullivan, because I know her. I've been knowing her for a long time.
And she'll take care of you.
She did that when she was working the radio business. Mike Grimsley, who is my general manager down in Lafayette, and since I've been working with them for the last 4 years down there, Mike would fall in love with Peggy in a second. And the whole group would, but any of the radio stations would. But now she's in the insurance business, and she will service you. I'm in Lafayette. She's servicing me just fine, thank you.
There you go.
That'll tell you everything you need to know, and she's been a blessing. And so I highly recommend, if you're looking for an insurance agent, make sure you check out Peggy Sullivan in the Monroe area. We do want to thank Bob Holliday. He gave us the opportunity 25 years ago today. I'm grateful for every radio station that I'm on. I'm just grateful. It's nothing I wouldn't do for those guys if they asked me to do it. And you got to go on and talk about advertisers, Paul, which, by the way, if I go back, you were probably one of the original ones to come on board as well. You've done it off and on.
Oh, we've done it off and on, and it's been great.
Yeah, but I mean, you were original, though. You were one original.
Yeah.
Just like Ron Alexander, who was one of the original guys.
Well, and it was a little bit, we were all a little bit gamey in our youth. And everybody was saying, you can't fight the establishments. You can't. And we said, we're not fighting. We're just fighting facts. And so,
you're fighting information.
And you do a great job of having fun with it, but being truthful. And it's just a funny mix that makes it both entertaining and helpful.
Somebody told me one time, if you really want to make a difference, run for office. But I'm still in the entertainment business. I'm still in a business that you need to have fun. And we've had a lot of fun doing this, and sometimes at my expense and sometimes somebody else's. But we've had a lot of fun in the business. And
the one thing that's great about your show is if you go run for office, Moon, let me tell you a little bit of math. You got to make 50% of the people happy.
Plus one.
If you do this and you get 10% of the people happy, you're a star. So I think you better stick with truth and not politics.
Yeah, no doubt about it. By the way, Brandon, if you can hear me, and I know you can, Clay Young is saying he wants to try to call in real quick, and we're taking one last picture, I guess. Okay, Peggy. Peggy, you're getting worse.
Well, he can talk and take a
Peggy,
picture.
by the way, you're getting worse than my wife. With these pictures. Anyway, she said, Peggy, that's just like a woman. That's a compliment. That's a compliment.
It is.
I can't beat him any kind of way. So that's a compliment. And by the way, I don't mean beat him like Butch. I didn't say beat him like that. I shouldn't say that on air, I guess. Anyway, but no, it's been a lot of fun, a good run. But you remember the days. I do appreciate it. And you don't sub much, but you do sub occasionally.
And we're going to work something out on that. We're going to try to figure out a way.
You got to slow down the law business before you do that.
What we're going to do is get it calendared so we both know when I'm helping you, and give you a day off.
I just think that the state's worth fighting for, and that's where I stand. The state's worth fighting for. I know
You're
this.
Exactly.
I know
right.
this. If the business community can ever get a hold here, all businesses, and we ever become a friendly business state.
That's right.
We're going to have plenty of money for government, plenty of money for roads. We got plenty of money for everything, but we don't do it that way.
What we need to make it where our businesses come, we talk about not having trained people to work. We do. They just live in Dallas and Knoxville. But the minute you get this place wired for business again, we'll have the influx of not strangers, but our families. Our children will come back. Our cousins will come back.
By the way, I want to mention this, Peggy and the Gandys, Butch, and all of this is Cornelius, the famous Cornelius in Alexandria right here. That's right. Cornelius follows me everywhere. I'm worried about Cornelius, man. And as the big bad handler say, he's worried about you too. But no, my passion for the state is a love of state, the hate of lies, the hate of hypocrisy, the hate of excuses. We got to have education reform. Oh, we got to do a constitutional convention. I tell you what, let them do the Constitutional Convention. My prediction is if they get rid of taxes on a 2/3 vote, we passed $6.3 billion under Edwards with a 2/3 vote. Go do a majority, simple majority vote plus one. $6 billion to become $10 billion. They don't get it. They really don't. These governors hadn't gotten it.
We're close. There's enough dissent now that we're getting to a critical mass that with 5 new senators and 10 new state reps that really want to say, why don't we grow? Why don't we recruit business by getting off their back? We're that close. And no, not Texas, not Arkansas, not Mississippi. I love them all, except Louisiana's culture and life and food and family and fun is unmatched in this country.
There's nobody really moving out of the state that wants to move out of this state. And I'm talking about high school, college graduate. Paul, but the problem they don't realize, we got middle-class people making good middle-class income, and I'm talking about $50,000 to $250,000, $500,000, whatever it is, that don't want to live here. That's your age and my age, moving out with their families and kids. I don't know if that bothers you. That bothers me. This is not just young, educated people.
No, it's right. The people are leaving because of our environment. You got to
have a job and something you can count on. These oil and gas people, they're either working somewhere else at lower pay, or they're going to Midland or Houston.
Or they're driving their truck to Houston, getting on a plane and going into the Gulf, on the Texas side of the line, out of Texas.
But we ought to not have that.
Hey, look, all we got to do is when the election's coming, dare to send somebody different. Send somebody that makes the promise to build a state government that's our size. I found when we were talking one day,
we're billions of dollars over our size.
Yeah, we look at our size of how much we tax our people versus Florida. We don't have to invent it. We just have to copy it, because Louisiana in the southeast is the highest or next to highest taxed state in the southeast.
But you know what they put out? The governor and the press is putting out that we're a low tax state. That's not true. You got to weigh. When you weigh everything in, we spend per capita in the South more than anybody, or at least the top 2 or 3.
If you put in the per capita, we are not anything but a New York City high tax state sitting in the South and failing while everyone around us does different.
Well, I know this. If we don't do anything different, we can't expect different results. We've raised the taxes. We've raised the taxes on everything. We just hadn't delivered. We've raised them. We've raised all the money you can take from people. We've given all the universities everything they, quote, wanted. Well, we never give them what they want. We've got money for roads, but we don't fix roads. We pay the same gas tax they do in Texas. So the bottom line is you got to do something different, and it's what I'm fighting for. And I just know this. We need people, men and women with guts. And I blame some of the Republicans only because I know the real ones are fighting it. There's just not enough of them.
Right.
You know, Rob Shadwan, Julie Stokes. They're so leftist, but they got to have that R label. They got to have that R label to win.
They get the R label, and even.
But they're leftists. They ought to be in the Democrat Party.
That's right.
All right, Paul.
Great job. 25 years. Look, I've got 25 more years in me. When we make 50.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I hope, if somebody asked me what would be the perfect scenario, if I could make about another 10 or 12 years, I would, it'd be great. But if I don't make another day, I thank God for the time I had.
Hey, we've had a great time.
Had a great run. We've had fun. We've had radio stations all over the state. We've met some of the finest people in the world.
That's right.
And I've become friends with a lot of people. I'm gracious to the listeners, the advertisers,
it's been a great
and
group.
the radio hosts, and the radio stations that we've been associated with. There's nothing I wouldn't do for any of them if they asked me.
Yeah.
Just no way. Anyway,
we're proud to have you.
Real quick, Clay Young, you don't have much time. Go.
Hey, man, congratulations on 25 great years. As someone who is a dear friend of mine and who's had to suffer your sense of humor for a lot of years, you're good at what you do, and I think that Louisiana is the better for you. And now that I've had to compliment you so endearingly public, I think I'm going to go take a nap.
Yeah, by the way, Brandon, he texted you what to say, didn't he? Yeah, something like that. Clay, God bless you, man. We miss you, brother. We'll talk to you later. All right, that's it. Wrap it up, Peggy. God bless. Thank you so much. That's it. 26 years starts tomorrow. I do have a show tomorrow, right? I think so. All right, see you then, folks.